Welcome to
Bum, 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 dun, dun, dun. Battle for the White House.
Yeah,
It is election night in America.
but we're talking about games, unless you think the election is a game, in which I say poo on you, sir.
Excuse me, sir,
Yeah.
but we are sponsored this week by an election that is a game.
Ooh, what game would that be?
That would be Uncle Slam.
Tell me more.
Well, first of all, before we dive into that, let me just mention that we are, in fact, recording, obviously, on election night. However, we will probably not be releasing this episode until the day after, the morning after.
Well,
Which means
assuming that everything got counted tonight, which
Well, it
I
will, in
think is
fact, be the morning after. Any way you slice it in, will, in fact, be the morning after. Whether we know who the new
the
president
morning
is.
after pod.
Yeah, we may or may not know who the next president is. I have my suspicions.
Yes, Nader.
But Ralph Nader. That's who I did him as a write-in.
wrote him in.
Wrote him in this year.
I'm Nader Green Party.
With a VP pick of Perot.
Wow.
Yeah, because I like a guy who can run a company.
Okay.
Like
All right.
Next. Anyhow,
Welcome
obviously
to the
that is-
Game Menu Report, your weekly source of upcoming gaming news
yes.
and information for the week of November 6th.
November 6th. So as I said, we are recording on a Tuesday night. We usually record on Wednesdays, but we're going to be shifting to be recording Tuesday nights and releasing Wednesday mornings. Quick program note. So, but that's not really the news that gamers are clued into today, is it, Jim?
No, gamers are talking about the movies.
That's not the news I was thinking of either. Why are you going to do that, man?
Because I like it.
Yes, well, the big game this week, we will get to your movie in a minute. But the
Okay,
big
fine.
game this week, of course, is Halo 4.
Halo 4. Yes.
Halo 4.
Not done by Bungie this time.
Done by 343 Industries.
And I've heard that they took the torch and literally ran with it.
Yes, I've heard nothing but good things about Halo 4, and my copy is en route. I did not spring for the launch day delivery from Amazon.
Right.
So I will not have mine until tomorrow. But I can't wait to play it.
Me neither. And I can't wait to play the co-op with you, my friend.
Indeed. We
It's,
can do online co-op up to 4 players again, just like in Reach. And I believe Halo 3, right? You can do it in Halo 3.
Yeah, we did it in Halo 3. We did it in Halo
We did it in Halo 3. Excuse me. And you can do 2-player on the same box and up to 4-player online. I think it should be quite a bit of fun. Some of the new weapons I got to play with when I was at RTX.
Yes.
They're good friends, Rooster Teeth. And there's like a new sort of, I think is it Prothean? Is that the name of the...
I'm horrible with the names. I'm even horrible.
No, it's a Forerunner. Prothean, that's Mass Effect.
yeah,
I'm getting my sci-fi universe.
Which, by the way, I
mixed
still
up.
haven't played yet, Mass Effect 3.
You'll get there.
I know.
You know that there's Skyrim downloadable content coming now too. So
Still
if
haven't
you
finished
if you
Skyrim.
thought you were done with Skyrim, guess again.
I still haven't played Skyrim. But, yes, Halo 4 is coming out, which is...
It's already out. It's out now.
It's out today, last night, whatever. But what I was getting at is Assassin's Creed 3 just came out last week.
Yes.
Call of Duty Black Blops 2 coming out next week, which I'm sure we'll talk about. These are 3 huge games.
Yeah, and they're all going to be fighting for the same gamers.
Same real estate. And this is really going to show, at least for the first-person shooter, who if it's a Halo verse or is Call of Duty really taking the throne. I know Call of Duty ran with it only because they release a new game every year. So they.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm hoping for.
What you hoping for?
And I hope this does not put me at odds with people who feel like they self-select themselves into this community. But I'm kind of hoping it means that the people who are into fun, sci-fi, goofy, almost shooters stay in Halo, and the dude bros go to Call of Duty. Because I really don't like the super competitive, like I'm like the best at everything kind of people crowding out all of the Halo rooms.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I ended up leaving Reach, because like you and I have talked about, if you don't have friends that you're playing with,
Exactly.
you end up getting randomly selected.
But luckily, I was able to find a good group of friends that played Call of Duty, and we would just join a party, turn off everyone else, and we
Right.
would just talk amongst ourselves, and we would beat the dude bros, and we wouldn't even hear them because we're in our own. That's the one. I don't know how PlayStation does it, but the Microsoft Live experience
Right.
makes it so you don't have to bother with dude bros anymore.
True, but I think that also does limit you, because I do know
It
that when we
does.
were playing Halo 3 for so long with the same group of people, like it started to be like if we didn't find the right room that had the right game, it would just become like our friends would almost become dude bros.
Well,
Like, I don't
some
wanna
of our
play
friends
that
are
game.
dude bros.
That's true. We love you, Spongy.
I wasn't talking about him.
Anyhow, so I like I said, I haven't got a chance to play it yet because it's en route.
Yes.
But I should have it tomorrow.
Yeah, I need to actually trade in some games so I can pay for this because I got the eats, bro.
I hear you, man.
Yeah.
So you wanted to talk about a movie?
Do you want to talk about a movie? I saw Wreck-It Ralph over the weekend.
Wreck-It Ralph.
First off, if you've ever played any video game, whether it was an Atari game, a Nintendo game, you did go to the arcade and you were able to play the cabinets. If you know what Tap,
Sure.
what's the root beer game or Quark or any of that
Tap
stuff.
It, Tapper.
Tapper.
Tap It.
I don't know. It's actually on that Midway Origins.
Okay,
that we were
right.
talking about a couple weeks ago. Just those inside jokes and and sorry to spoil this, but like even the code is in there.
Okay.
And it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, see, I mean, and we've talked about this a little bit. I can't wait to see it. My biggest concern is what ages are going to be appropriate for my kids, because my kids are 6 and 4,
Right.
and almost 2, but obviously that one's too young.
I'll say this, like the 6-year-old should be fine. There is name calling and there is some scary parts and there's definitely violence against like video game bugs.
Right.
So, I mean, all right, if you can get rid of that, but there is like the main character is a little girl who is trying to find her own.
Okay.
So that story does take precedent over everything else. So, I mean, if I'll put it to you like this, if she can handle Up, or if you let her watch Up,
Yeah, we've watched Up.
she can do this.
All right,
The little
well.
little kid, your son, your 4.
Yeah, see, but it's funny because sometimes it almost goes the opposite. Like there's stuff I find that he's okay with that she actually ends up getting a little bit too.
I mean, it is PG,
flustered.
and it was awesome. Now, here's something that I found funny. Examiner said that the $49.1 million opening weekend is the. Let me read this correctly.
I believe it was the largest
Box office opening ever for Walt Disney. Now, I'm confused because Toy Story 3 did $109 million. Is Pixar different? Is this because?
Well, first of all, a couple things. One, Pixar is a studio owned by Disney.
Okay.
It's distributed by Disney, but it's actually produced by Pixar.
Okay, so then that's
At least it used to be. I don't know if it's completely changed now that Pixar is fully owned by Disney, which it did not used to be.
right.
But then the second piece of that is that this is a computer animated Disney movie that is not made by Pixar.
Right.
So it's a little bit. So that's the sort of the main thing. It's the largest Disney animated, computer animated feature that was not made by Pixar.
And they
ever.
did a heck of a good job. You'll also see during the trailers that DreamWorks has like 3 of their animated ones coming out.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Anything
Interesting?
Not really.
Not really.
But
And nothing video game related, certainly.
No. So, but
I did say I didn't want to get totally spoiled, but I did manage to spend a little bit of time just looking through what some of the references were, and I have to say I'm pretty happy. I can't wait to see them for myself because I do think that there was, obviously, it was made by people who know games,
and also people who. Like there were like 3 courses that were exactly like Mario Kart.
Okay.
I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is awesome!"
Nice.
So,
Right on.
So yeah.
All right. So what's now? There is unfortunately some not so great news.
There's not some great news. THQ is having some stock issues.
Now, what are some games that we would know THQ from?
THQ used to have the UFC games, and they sold that. The games that are coming out now are like Saints Row is a THQ game. The South Park,
the Stick of Truth.
Stick of Truth. Their game actually just got announced that it's going to be taken back to 2014. It was supposed to come out
So it's
March
getting pushed
2013. Got pushed back a year.
This is why you use Game Minder, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, well, they've been keeping me busy because 2 other games that have gotten released only by a month, though, is Metro Last Light and Company of Heroes 2. So also THQ has the Left 4 Dead.
Sure.
So,
okay. Yeah.
And they just came out with Darksiders 2. Now, Darksiders 2 was critically acclaimed, but unfortunately, like any really critically acclaimed game, it only sold like 1.4 million copies.
Right.
So THQ, what they did a couple months ago was that they took their stock and they did a reverse split. So not to get too technical, they just took 70 million of their stock and they took it and they brought it down to 7 million.
Right.
But to boost it up, so now they were selling at 5.5.
Okay.
$5.50 instead of the 50 cents it was. But they're still having problems. They're thinking of maybe selling off some more assets.
Right.
More properties. My fear is that pushing these back is just the inevitable pushing their own company back. I hope not, because they've actually come back. I mean, the game, like, there's companies like Activision that had this, and then all of a sudden they've come back with like the Call of Duty. Like, they've just gotten lucky with that.
Well, the trick is that yes, games development is a software business, but in essence, it is essentially an entertainment business. And so it really is, it's the same kind of a situation that you'd have with a movie studio or any sorts of thing. I mean, and a perfect example of that is the guys who made the Lord of the Rings movies, New Line Cinema. New Line Cinema essentially doesn't really exist anymore. They went out of business and they got bought up. They're still now using the name by whoever purchased them. But you have to think like, okay, this is a studio that made 3 of the most expansive and amazing and probably lucrative movies of all time. One series, a trilogy.
Won an Emmy or an Oscar.
Yeah, and then they went out of business like 4 years later.
And it's a shame because it only takes one property. It only takes one property for IP, and then boom, you get 3 or 4. Like we were just talking about Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph is perfect. It's its own niche, and guaranteed there's going to be 2 or 3 more.
Sure.
Guaranteed, and they're going to be awful.
But you know what's interesting about that? Because, not to go too far into the movie situation, but something like How to Train Your Dragon. Everybody thought that was going to be, they were going to have sequels and sequels and sequels, but they didn't go that way. They actually made a TV series.
And a live show.
Right. So, the idea of cross-marketing your properties into other media, I think, could be the way for some of these things. Like obviously Left 4 Dead is probably not going to make a very good children's television show, but, I just think the idea of having a well-known, well-received property, you got to be able to market that and cross-market that in multiple ways.
It's really the Hasbro Marvel thought is you get a product and then you make a TV show to sell your product, and that's all G.I. Joe and He-Man was.
Yeah.
But hopefully THQ will figure it out. They have some really great properties and games, and I was really looking forward to that South Park game.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully they'll be able to pull it back. Mm-hmm. So before we get into what's coming out this week, we're going to talk about our sponsor.
Okay.
For anybody who is listening and is looking for some fun times punching a president in the face, our show this week is brought to you by Uncle Slam.
Uncle Slam.
Uncle Slam. It is an iOS game, basically presidential Punch-Out for iOS. It's available for iPad and iPhone, and you're not going to hear this before tomorrow morning, but if you had heard this before tomorrow morning, there's a free election pack that includes Obama and Romney. If Romney wins, then he will be released as a full character. If not, then he will go away as just a candidate.
And, and if you're looking at our video, this is Mandy. Mandy is Uncle Slam's
Freedom Eagle.
Yes.
All right. So coming out this week, as mentioned by my illustrious colleague Jimmy P just a moment ago, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is coming out this week, as well as Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, which is a Vita.
Yes.
Game.
Just in case you were curious,
I'm very curious.
Declassified actually takes place in between
I
1 and 2.
It was something like that.
So it's not. People were thinking that it was actually just a different name for Blops 2, but no, it's a Vita game only.
Blops.
Well, that's what Black Ops was called. They called it Blops.
Got it.
Okay, so Blops 2. But yeah, no, it's its own game with its own storyline that takes in between 1 and 2.
Okay.
It's for the Vita only. What else you got going for us today?
Well, one that can't wait for, because I've actually been replaying through Lego Star Wars with my kids, but there's a new Lego game coming this week.
Finally, this
Lego
game,
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, this is another game that's giving me fits with their dates, but I think this November 13th date is going to stay.
I hope so. It's pre-ordered, so I can't wait to play it. I'm a junkie for all these games. I've played all of them. The only one I have not played is Lego Indiana Jones 2.
Really?
Well, because I think it's like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and then a bunch of other random junk. And I'm not saying it's not going to be fun, but there's just not enough to keep me coming back on that one. I've played all 3 of the Star Wars ones. I've played both of the Batman ones. I've played Pirates. I've played
Batman,
both the Harry Potters. Yeah. So, and I just love them. They're great. And I also, my daughter is 6, is really now totally on board. I've been playing through Star Wars with her. We're about, we've done Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, half of Return of the Jedi.
Now, do you watch the movies?
A little bit of the first of episode 1, just because we got to unlock
everything.
everything.
To know why you do
that.
we
got to unlock everything, so we're playing through all of them.
Now, do you then go watch the movies with her? Like, does she figure it out? Oh,
we've watched half of the first movie. I don't remember what exactly was happening, but at some point it started to get a little bit violent. They were all like, "No!" no. So we stopped, and this was about 6 months ago, and I'm hoping to bring it back to them probably this holiday season.
Wait till they get to see what happens to Han.
I know.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. No spoilers, man.
Yeah. So, and then speaking about Star Wars, Angry Birds Star Wars.
Yes, Angry Birds Star Wars is also coming out this week. That's obviously going to be the 3rd, 4th, 5th something of the Angry Birds, but obviously licensed.
Yeah, whatever seasons. There was the Rovio.
Yeah, it should be fun. I saw some gameplay. There's a couple things like, where you'd have a special bird where it would go and then you'd hit it and it would go faster. Now they've got ones where it's like you tap it and he pulls out his lightsaber and like swipes.
Nice.
And I think there might be like a freezing one that's like freezing in carbonite kind of a thing. So it should be pretty fun.
Millennium Falcon one.
And then the last one this week, last big game is Paper Mario Sticker Star
for the 3DS.
3DS. Now
I feel like Nintendo is doing more for the 3DS than anything else these days. They've been getting some really good games.
Yeah, well, and I played Paper Mario 2, and I enjoyed it. I believe it was on the GameCube.
No,
but it might have been the Wii.
It was the Wii.
Was it the Wii? Okay,
the Wii.
Yeah, I think the first one must have been GameCube then. But I did not play the first one. It's an interesting take on the whole Mario thing. It's got some RPG-ish kind of stuff going on, and it was worth playing. So I do find a delightful irony in the idea of a game whose central conceit is that it is a 3D world flattened being played on a console that's 3D.
Yes.
That is a very interesting turn of events.
Yes.
So, Jim, what game did you pick this week?
I chose Outlast.
Outlast.
Now, I don't know why I keep choosing these survival horror games when I know I'm never going to play them.
Right.
But they just look so interesting. This one is a game where a journalist breaks into an insane asylum. Now, the insane asylum was closed for 30 years, but then was retrofitted for a research and development company, much like how this launch house that we're at right now.
Oh, yeah, we forgot to mention the launch house.
Yeah, we're at the launch house.
We're at the beautiful Shaker launch house in
which used to be
Shaker Heights.
Which used to be a Buick dealer.
Exactly. And it has been refitted. Imagined, if you will.
So basically, and the other cool thing is by the indie developer Red Barrels. Now, Red Barrels is made up of former Ubisoft and Naughty Dog developers. So I really like to promote these the indie devs, especially when they're leaving these big huge places to do their own. So that always gets me. And it's only going to be for the PC and due out hopefully in 2013. That's what they're shooting for right now.
Interesting.
Anything tickle your fancy?
Yeah, well, it's interesting you mentioned it's only out for the PC because I find that a lot of times a lot of the games that go in a week are all PC games, and I know that I'm not going to play PC games.
Right.
So
well, you can.
Yeah, I could, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
So one of the things that I was pretty excited about was that I found a game that's actually going to be cross-platform. It's going to be for PC and Mac, and that is Dreamfall Chapters, which is being made by Ragnar Tornquist, which I'll just read here. Chapters will be similar to Dreamfall, so it's a sequel in terms of gameplay. The player characters will be controlled from a third-person perspective, but the focus field will no longer be used. It's sort of a puzzle exploration something. And it is coming out for Mac, and so I'm going to follow this one. The first Dreamfall was highly praised, and so
touted.
It's not. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do with this one.
Good. All right.
So yes, election night in America.
Well, if nothing else, we do know that 50% of America is going to be upset.
Yes, half of you will wake up delighted, and half of you will wake up suicidal.
And all of me is going to hate my Facebook newsfeed.
Oh, Facebook. Well, I think that's going to do it, yeah? Is that everything this week?
Sure.
All right, well, I guess that's going to do it for the Game Minder Report this week. To follow any of the games mentioned or to read the show notes for this week, make sure you visit GameMinderReport.com/25.
And to see when the newest games are listed, don't forget to follow Game Minder on Twitter or visit Facebook.com/GameMinder.
And to follow all your favorite upcoming games, don't forget to visit GameMinder.com or download the app for iOS or Android.
And finally, don't forget to buy all your games through our website or app. Every game you pre-order or purchase helps support this show and the service. Signing off for the Game Minder Report, my name is Jim.
And I'm Jeremy, reminding you,
don't forget to play.